Hello students, welcome to the online session on basic electronics. Uh, Today we'll be learning about bipolar junction transistor, that is BJT. So let's see what contents we'll be looking into this session. First we'll be knowing what is BJT, that is introduction to BJT. Then we'll see the working or operation of NPN transistor, then operation of PNP transistor, then transistor current, that is derivation, then problems related to that, and you can see the content in page number 1 to 8 in the given notes. So let's start. Introduction to BJT. BJT means it is bipolar junction transistor. So what is a BJT? Actually, it is simply a sandwich of one type of semiconductor between two layers of the opposite type. Then it means that there can be two possible ways. Okay, so one is we can have a sandwich of P type between two layers of N type, or we can have a sandwich of N type between two layers of P type. Okay, so it is as simple as that. So we have two type of transistor, that is PNP and NPN transistor. Let's look at how it actually represented. So an NPN transistor has a P-type material between two layers of N-type. So if you see in the figure, we have two N-type material, okay, and in between that we have a P-type material, okay, and we have three terminals in that. Okay, and one more is PNP transistor. So in PNP transistor, what happens? There are two p-type layers and in between we have a n-type. Okay, and a PNP transistor has a n-type material between two layers of p-type as shown in the figure. Okay, so these are the two basic transistor, that is NPN and PNP transistor. So we'll look more into BJT through a video. Okay, so let's see.
As a conductor or insulator based on the applied input signal. And due to this property, the transistor can be used as a switch in the digital electronics, or it can be used as an amplifier in the analog electronics. So nowadays, the field effect transistors are widely used in the electronic industry, but still the BJTs are extensively used. And anyone who is interested in the electronics should have some basic knowledge of this BJT. So in this bipolar junction transistor, there are three doped regions: the emitter, the base and the collector. And based on the doping of these three regions, it is known as either NPN or the PNP transistor. So in case of the NPN transistor, both emitter and the collector are doped with the N-type impurity and the base is doped with the P-type impurity. On the other hand, in the PNP transistor, the base is doped with the N-type impurity and the emitter and the collectors are doped with the P-type impurity. And here, the term bipolar indicates that both electrons and holes contributes in the flow of current. Now, if you look inside this BJT, then there are two PN junctions. One is between the emitter and the base, and second is between the base and the collector. And it appears as if the two back-to-back diodes are connected in the series. But actually, it won't behave like that. Because when we connect to back-to-back diodes, then we are assuming that there is no interaction between the two diodes. That means these two diodes are operating independently. But in case of the BJT, actually there is an interaction between the two regions. So if we connect the two back-to-back diodes like this, then it won't behave like a BJT. Now if we talk about the internal construction of the BJT, then the emitter is heavily doped, and the function of the emitter is to supply the electron. And in fact, that is why it is known as the emitter. Then if you talk about the base, then it is lightly doped and the doping concentration of the collector is between the emitter and the base. That means the collector is the moderately doped. And if we talk about the width of these three regions, then the base region is much narrower compared to the two regions. So in terms of the width, the collector region is wider than the other two regions, because the job of the collector region is to collect the electrons which is supplied by the emitter, and in fact that is why it is known as the collector. Now depending on the biasing, the BJT can be operated in three regions: the active region, the cutoff region and the saturation region. So in case of the active region of operation, the emitter base junction is forward biased and the base collector junction is reverse biased. So let's say the voltage at the emitter is VE, the voltage at the base is VB and the voltage at the collector is VC. Then to forward bias this base emitter junction, the voltage of base should be greater than emitter. And similarly, to reverse bias this collector base junction, the voltage at the collector should be greater than base. That means to operate the BJT in the active region, we can say that the collector voltage should be greater than base voltage and the base voltage should be greater than emitter voltage. So once this condition is satisfied, then the BJT will operate in the active region. Similarly, in the cutoff region, both base emitter junction and the base collector junctions are reverse biased. So to operate the BJT in this region, the emitter voltage should be greater than base voltage and at the same time the collector voltage should also be greater than base voltage. Similarly, in case of the saturation region of operation, both base emitter and the base collector junction of the BJTs are forward biased. That means in this region of operation, the base voltage VB is greater than emitter voltage and at the same time this base voltage is also greater than collector voltage. So these are the three regions of operation in case of the BJT. Apart from that, there is one more region of operation which is known as the reverse active region of operation. So in this region of operation, instead of base emitter junction, here the base collector junction is forward biased and the base emitter junction is reverse biased. But in this region of operation, the gain provided by the BJT is very less and due to that, this region of operation is usually avoided. Similarly, if we talk about the PNP transistor, then in case of the active region of operation, this base emitter junction is forward biased and the collector base junction is reverse biased. But in this case, now the emitter voltage is greater than the base voltage and similarly the base voltage is greater than collector voltage. So we can say that in case of the PNP transistor, to operate it in the active region, the emitter voltage should be greater than base voltage and the base voltage should be greater than the collector voltage. And similarly, this PNP transistor can also be used in the different regions. So whenever the BJT is used for the amplification, then it is used in this active region, and whenever it is used as a switch, then it is used in the saturation and the cutoff region. And in the upcoming videos, we will see in detail about these different regions of operation. Now if we talk about the symbol, then this is the symbol of the NPN transistor. So these three terminals are the base, collector and the emitter. And here this arrow indicates the direction of the current during the active region of operation. So in case of the NPN transistor, the current will flow from the base towards the emitter. On the other hand, if you see the symbol of the PNP transistor, then it is similar to the NPN transistor, but here the direction of the arrow will get reversed. So now the current will flow from the emitter towards the base region. Now as I said, when the BJT is used for the amplification of the signal, then it is operated in the active region. And there are different ways to configure it. So in case of the common emitter configuration, the emitter terminal is common between the input and the output. That means in this configuration, the input signal is applied between the base and the emitter and the output is measured between the collector and the emitter terminal. Similarly, in case of the common collector configuration, the collector terminal is common between the input and the output side. And likewise, in the common base configuration, the base terminal is common between the input and the output side. So each configuration has its own advantage and disadvantage, and we will see all these configurations in detail in the upcoming videos. But in short, depending on the requirement and the application, the BJT can be configured in any of these three configurations. Alright, so now let's understand the working of the BJT whenever it is operated in the active region. And here we will take the example of the NPN transistor. Now before we understand the working, let me just clear the notations which is used for the supply voltages. So as you can see over here, for the base and the collector supplies, double subscription is used. That means here this VBB is the source voltage for the base and the VCC is the source voltage which is connected to the collector terminal. And this voltage VB defines the difference between the voltage at the base and the emitter terminal. So this voltage VB can be defined as voltage VB minus VE. So if the voltage at the base terminal is, let's say, VB and the voltage at the emitter terminal is VE, then the voltage VBE can be defined as voltage VB minus VE. And here this voltage VB and VE are measured with respect to the ground terminal. Similarly, this voltage VCE can be defined as the collector voltage VC minus VE. So instead of VBE, if we write voltage VEB, then it can be written as voltage VE minus VB, and this voltage will be negative of the VBE. So throughout our discussion on the BJT, we will use these notations. So here this base voltage and the collector voltage is applied in such a way that the base emitter junction will get forward biased and the base collector junction will get reversed bias. That means over here the BJT is biased in such a way that this voltage VB is positive and this voltage VCB is also positive. Now if you notice over here, this is the PN junction. So whenever this PN junction is forward biased, then the typical forward voltage drop across this diode is in the range of 0.6 to 0.7 volt. That means whenever we forward bias this base emitter junction, then the typical voltage drop between this base and the emitter junction will be roughly around 0.7 volt. Now once we apply these biasing voltages, then the electrons from the emitter will be pushed towards the base terminal, because as I said earlier, the emitter is the heavily doped. That means the emitter has the large number of electrons as the majority carriers. And once we apply this biasing voltage, then this negative voltage will push the electrons towards the base region. So due to that, the electrons will start moving towards the base region. Now once the electrons enter this base region, then there are two paths for them. One is they can flow towards the positive terminal on the left, and the second is they can flow into the collector region. But most of the electrons will enter into the collector region, because if you see over here, the base is lightly doped. That means the number of holes in this base region is very small compared to the electrons which are coming from the emitter region. That means the free electrons which has come into this base region will see the longer lifetime. And the second reason is the width of this base region is very thin. That means most of the electrons will be able to escape this base region and they can go into the collector region. That means in this base region, only few electrons will recombine with these holes and they will get attracted towards the positive terminal of this VBB, and the remaining electrons will enter into the collector region. Now if you notice over here, once the electrons from the emitter enters into the base region, then they will become the minority charge carriers. And if you see over here, the base collector junction is reversed biased. So due to the applied electric field at the collector terminal, these minority charge carriers or the electrons will get attracted towards the collector terminal. So once the electrons enters into this collector region, then they will get attracted by the positive terminal of this VCC. So if you see the direction of the flow of electron, then from the emitter, the electrons will flow in this direction, and most of the electrons which is emitted by the emitter will get collected by the collector region. And very small amount of electrons only will flow in this direction. And if we see the direction of the holes, then it will be exactly opposite to the flow of electrons. And in fact, the conventional current will also flow in the same direction. That means the base current IB will flow in this direction, while the collector and the emitter current will flow in this direction. So now let us establish the relationship between all these currents. So if we apply the KCL, then we can say that this current IB plus IC, that is equal to emitter current. That means the emitter current is the summation of this base current and the collector current. And as I said, only fraction of electrons are able to go in this direction. That means the base current will be very small. Or we can say that this collector current IC is approximately equal to IE. And exactly it can be defined as collector current IC is equal to alpha times I. And this alpha defines what fraction of the emitter current is flowing through the collector terminal. Now if we put this value of IC in this expression, then we can say that this base current IB plus alpha times I is equal to IE. That means the base current IB is equal to 1 minus alpha times emitter current. And once again, if you put the value of IE in terms of the collector current, then we can say that the base current IB is equal to 1 minus alpha times IC divided by alpha. That means the base current IB is equal to 1 minus alpha divided by alpha times collector current. Or we can say that the collector current IC is equal to alpha divided by 1 minus alpha times base current. And let's say this is equal to beta. That means the collector current IC is equal to beta times IB. So this beta is known as the current gain of the BJT. And typically the value of beta varies from 50 to 400 for the different transistors. So from this we can say that IB plus IC, that is equal to emitter current. That means base current IB plus beta times IB is equal to I. That means the emitter current I can be given as beta plus 1 times IB. So this is the relationship between the base current, emitter current and the collector current. Now if you notice over here, in this common emitter configuration, this base current is the current on the input side, while the collector current is the current on the output side. And these two currents are related by this expression. That means by controlling this base current on the input side, it is possible to control the collector current. And that is why these bipolar junction transistors are known as the current control device. That means just by controlling the input current on the base side, it is possible to control the output current. On the other hand, if you see the other type of transistor, that is the field effect transistor, it is the voltage control device. That means in that case, by controlling the input voltage, it is possible to control the output current. Also, if you notice over here, in this configuration of the BJT, the output collector current gets amplified by the factor of beta. And if we connect the resistor between the collector and the emitter terminal, then it is possible to amplify the input signal. That means after biasing the BJT in this configuration, if we apply the AC signal as the input, then it is possible to amplify that signal. And we will discuss about it in the detail in the upcoming videos. Now during our discussion, we haven't considered the current due to the minority charge carriers in this collector region. Because if you notice over here, this base collector junction is reversed bias. So for a moment, if we remove this emitter connection, then the current which is flowing through the collector is only due to the minority charge carriers. And let's say this current is equal to ICO. So this current is similar to the reverse saturation current which we had seen in the PN junction diode. So the total collector current ICT will be equal to the IC plus ICO, where this ICO is the current due to the minority charge carriers. And typically this current is in the range of microamperes, while this collector current IC is in the range of milliampere. So this is all about the different types of currents in the BJT. So in the upcoming videos, we will see the different configurations of the BJT as well as the input and output characteristic of the BJT. And we will also see how the BJT can be biased using the different techniques. But I hope in this video, you got the brief overview about the BJT. So
Okay, so in that video, it was like almost completely about BJT it was spoken. So let's come back to our session. So now you know that bipolar junction transistor, the name bipolar because we have the carriers, that is holes and electron, both polarities are responsible for the flow of current. That's why it is the name bipolar junction transistor. Okay, and also we see that there are two junctions. Okay, so two PN junctions, and transistor means transferred resistor. Okay, so we will understand what is transferred resistor means, but by now you know that bipolar junction transistor there are two types of configuration, that is NPN and PNP. Okay, and BJT is a three terminal device where we have base, okay, emitter and collector, and it consists of two PN junctions, collector base junction and emitter base junction. Okay, the emitter is the leftmost layer which is heavily doped. Emitter is heavily doped and it is moderate in size. Very important. Emitter is heavily doped and it is moderate in size. And what is its main responsibility is to supply a number of majority carriers, that is either electrons in case of NPN, or it can be holes in case of PNP. So emitter, it is moderate in size and it is heavily doped. As it emits electrons or holes, it is called as an emitter and it is simply indicated with letter E. Okay, so we have emitter, base and collector. So we saw the features of emitter. So the main important feature of emitter is that it is moderate in size and it is heavily doped. Okay, so emitter, it is heavily doped. Okay, so three layers. So what are the three layers? So first layer, say emitter, it is moderate in size. Base, it is very narrow or very thin in width. And then we have collector. So about emitter, if we tell, it is moderately doped. Okay, and its main purpose, what it has to do, it should emit electrons. It should emit electrons. Okay, so and it is indicated by letter E. What about base? Base is the middle layer and it is thin and lightly doped. Its main function is to just pass the majority carriers from the emitter to the collector. This is indicated by the letter B. Okay, so whatever the electrons or holes emitted by the emitter should be passed to the collector. So it is just like a bridge. Okay, so it is very thin and lightly doped. Okay, next is the collector. The rightmost layer is the collector. Its name simply implies that its function is to collect the carrier. So whatever emitted by the emitters, electrons hole should be collected by the collector. So this is a bit larger in size compared to emitter and base, and it is moderately doped. Okay, emitter is heavily doped, base is lightly doped, collector is moderately doped, and it is larger in size, and this is indicated by the letter C. Let us see the circuit symbols of PNP and NPN transistor. So if you see, in case of NPN transistor, the this arrowhead indicates that emitter terminal and indicates the direction of conventional current. So if you see in this case, the direction of the current is outwards towards the emitter. Okay, and whereas in case of PNP, it is inwards into the base. Okay, so flow of current in this direction, whereas in case of NPN transistor, the flow of direction is from this. Okay, from collector base to the emitter, whereas in case of PNP, it is from emitter base collector. Okay, so that is the circuit symbol, very important. So when you write the NPN or PNP transistor in exam point of view, then you have to draw this diagram. Okay, very neat diagram. Then represent three terminals, that is collector, base and emitter. Okay, and then this arrow mark is very important. If you are writing for NPN, remember the arrow mark will be outwards, whereas in case of PNP it is inwards. So you will understand this, why it is outwards or inwards, when we study about the operation of NPN transistor. But by now just understand the circuit symbol of BJT is like this. So let us see transistor biasing. Okay, now we have to give input, right? So how are we going to do this? Okay, so BJT has two PN junction. What are the two PN junction? One junction is between the emitter and the base, and one more is between the collector and the base, right? So we have three junctions. So three junctions. First one is the emitter. Then we have base. Sorry. So the width also matters. So emitter. Then we have base. Then the collector. So this is emitter. This is base. And this is the collector. So what are the two junctions here? You can see one junction here, right? And one more junction at this point. So what we can see, one junction is between emitter and base, one more junction is between collector and base. Biasing is controlling the operation of transistor by providing the power supply. So on what basis we are getting the output? How we are going to control this transistor? That is biasing, by giving external power supply. The function of both the PN junction is controlled by providing bias to the circuit through some DC supply. By applying the power, the emitter base junction is always forward biased as the emitter resistance is very small. The collector base junction is reverse biased as its resistance is a bit higher. Okay, so when we apply power, we should see that emitter base junction is forward biased and collector base junction is reverse biased for the active mode of operation. Okay, so transistor, that is actually in that video it was covered, that is different mode of operation. Three different mode of operation is there, that is active mode, cutoff mode and saturation mode. So in case of active mode, the emitter base junction should be forward biased and collector base junction should be reverse biased. Okay, so here in this case, that is in case of PNP transistor, yes, in case of PNP transistor, this P side should be connected to the positive side. Yes, emitter base junction is forward biased, right? And collector base junction is reverse biased. So you have to see this properly. So PN junction, just concentrate this part here. P side, this P side is connected to the positive terminal and N side is connected to negative terminal. So this is in which bias now? Forward bias. Okay, forward bias. What about this? P side is connected to negative terminal, N side is connected to the positive terminal. So this is reverse biased. Reverse biased. Okay, that is in case of PNP. Now what about NPN? NPN, N should be connected to negative and P should be connected to positive. So this is forward biased, forward biased, forward biased. And when base is connected to negative and N is connected to positive, then this is reverse biased. Okay, reverse biased. So this is two types of active mode in the case of PNP and NPN. So with circuit symbol, if you draw, it looks like this. Okay, the circuit symbol for PNP is the arrow marks indicates inwards. Okay, so the base emitter from it should be connected to the positive side and base should be connected this way, right? And collector is connected to this side, that is reverse biased. Similarly, in case of NPN, emitter is connected to the negative side, then base, this junction is forward biased and this junction is reverse biased. Okay, this is active mode. So the operation of NPN transistor is shown in the figure, in which emitter base junction is forward biased and collector base junction is reverse biased. The voltage VEE provides a negative potential at the emitter which repels the electrons in the N-type material, and these electrons cross the emitter base junction to reach the base region. There are a very low percentage of electrons recombined with free holes of P region. This provides very low current which constitutes the base current IB. The remaining holes across the collector base junction to constitute the collector current IC. So I'll tell you the working for this transistor, that is NPN transistor. Now what we have done is N side is connected to the negative terminal and the base that is connected to the positive terminal. So this is forward bias. Okay, so the barrier, there is a barrier potential. There is a barrier potential when it is forward bias is small, that is very less, the resistance provided is very less. Whereas in case of this side, that is in the collector base junction, it is reverse bias, so the barrier potential is high. Now what happens when we know that for silicon it's almost 0.7 volts, right? So we need to increase the voltage after 0.7 volts, then it starts conducting. Okay, so after we increase this VEE, that is we keep on increasing this VEE after 0.7 volts, what happens? The emitter starts to emit electrons, right? So this junction disappears and there will be flow of electrons towards the base region. So towards the base region, the emitter emits electrons. Now the important point you have to understand is emitter is heavily doped, so large number of electrons are there in the inside. What about base? Base is lightly doped. Lightly doped in the sense, what is base made up of? P-type. P-type means what? It is holes. So the electrons, since this is lightly doped, very few number of holes are there. Few of the electrons recombine with these holes. Okay, very few of the electrons recombines with these holes, and those electrons, get attracted towards the positive side of the supply VEE. Okay, so understand that electrons will move towards the base region and that provides the user base current. Now what about the remaining electrons? Remaining electrons will move towards the collector side. Will move towards the collector side. Okay, so few of the electrons will combine with holes and get attracted towards the positive side, and other electrons will move towards the collector side. Okay, so because of that we have three currents here. One current that is moving from the emitter. Okay, that is current flow of electrons are this in this side, means the flow of current is in the opposite direction, that is emitter current will be moving this side. Okay, so emitter is in this side, this is the direction of the current of emitter. What about base? The flow of electron is this side, so the current will be traveling in the opposite way. Now there is flow of electrons from base to collector, so the flow of collector current will be opposite side. Now if we apply KCL, then the outward current is IE, right? Emitter current is the one which is going outward, so that will be equal to base current plus collector current. Okay, this is very important in case of BJT. You have to understand that the emitter current is equal to base current plus collector current. And also we know that base current, since the doping is very light here, only few of the electrons can flow, and because of that base current is almost very small. That's why we can write that IE is almost equal to IC. Okay, IC. Now one more important point you have to observe here is this region is forward biased FB. Okay, it looks like reverse biased only, so it is F forward biased, and in case of collector base it is reverse biased, right? So if reverse biased, we have already studied that there will be flow of minority carriers, or it is also called as reverse current. Okay, so a small amount of reverse current will be flowing in the reverse bias region, that is in case of collector base region. Okay, so because of the minority carriers, there will be small amount of reverse saturation current flowing in this region. That is also very important. Okay, so as the electron reaches out of the collector terminal and enters the positive terminal of the battery, an electron from the negative terminal of the battery enters the emitter region. This flow slowly increases and the electron current flows through the transistor. Therefore, the conduction in an NPN transistor takes place through electrons. The collector current is higher than the emitter current. The increase or decrease in the emitter currents affects the collector current. Yes, so here if more number of electrons are emitted, more is the collector current. Lesser number of electrons are emitted, lesser the collector current. So we can say that collector current is indirectly it is related to the emitter. Okay, so emitter will actually control it will control the current that is flowing in the collector. Okay, so let us see the operation in case of PNP transistor. In case of PNP transistor, what we are doing, the emitter base junction should be forward bias. So what we will do, P side connected to the positive terminal, N side connected to negative terminal. And what about collector base junction region, that should be reverse biased. So P side will be connected to negative terminal and this will be connected to the positive terminal. Okay, now what happens here? Here in P type, which is the majority carriers, holes, right? And in N side we have electrons and in P side we have holes. Now we have to see how there will be flow of holes. Okay, so from the P side, when it is forward bias, what happens? The holes will tend to move in this direction. What about electrons? Electrons will move in the opposite direction. Okay, now we will be concentrating the flow of holes. Okay, so in case of when we are concentrating the holes, then you have to understand that flow of holes, direction of the holes will be almost equal to the direction of the current. So direction of current and flow of the holes will be in the same direction. So if we say the emitter will emit holes, okay, and few of the holes will combine with the electrons that is present in the n-type base region. Few of them will be attracted by the negative side, so the holes will tend to travel towards the negative side. And what about the collector? The rest of the holes will move towards the collector, so it will collect all the holes. So if we see the direction of the current, it will be emitter is moving in inwards. Okay, and what about base? That will be moving outwards. Yes, and what about collector current? Okay, the collector current, it will be moving inwards. Okay, so here the number of holes from the P region, it will be attracted to the N side. Okay, it will be attracted to the N side, and few of the holes combine with the electrons. Whatever the rest of the electrons get attracted, okay, gets attracted towards this positive side. Now holes get attracted to the negative side. Now we are concentrating here on, if you see here, what is this? This is the electron. So how is the movement of electrons there now? So electrons tends to attract the minority carriers. Electrons tends to attract towards the positive side of this. Okay, and it will move in this direction, that is from emitter it will move towards the base. Okay, so this is the direction. Whereas in case of NP side, so it will move in this direction. Okay, so if you see the current, that is IE is moving towards, and IB and IC will be outwards. So IE is inwards, IE is inwards, and what about IB plus IC? IB plus IC. Okay, so here also emitter current will be equal to base current plus collector current. Okay, so if you see the direction of the holes, then it is same as you can see the emitter. So its holes are moving in this direction. Okay, and holes will be moving through this side direction and through this. So the IC is following the same route. So IC and IE will be equal to IB plus IC. So voltage V provides a positive potential at the emitter which repels the holes in the p-type material, and these holes cross the emitter base junction to reach the base region. There are very low percent of holes recombined with free electrons of n region. This provides very low current which constitutes the base current IB. The remaining holes cross the collector base junction to constitute the collector current IC, which is the hole current. As a hole reaches the collector terminal, an electron from the battery negative terminal fills the space in the collector. This flow slowly increases and electron minority current flows through the emitter, where each electron entering the positive terminal of VEE is replaced by a hole by moving towards the emitter junction. This constitutes emitter current IE. Therefore, the conduction in a PNP transistor takes place through holes. The collector current is slightly less than the emitter current. The increase or decrease in the emitter current affects the collector current. Okay, so these are the important features in the operation of NPN and PNP transistor. So now let us see now what is the transistor currents that is flowing in a PNP transistor. For a PNP transistor, emitter current IE flows into the transistor. The base current IB and collector current IC flows out of the transistor. So IE we can write it as IC plus IB. Now we have to see almost all of the emitter current IE crosses to the collector and only a small portion flow out of the base terminal. So what we will do is IC is almost equal to IE, right? Almost equal to IE. So what we are doing is, let us take a factor, that is alpha DC, which is the fraction, okay, that is which makes the collector current almost equal. So IC will be written as equal to alpha into IE. So alpha is a factor which is the gain, okay, that gives you amplification factor, kind of amplification factor. So that will make the collector current almost equal to emitter current. Okay, so from that alpha DC can be written as IC by IE, where alpha DC is defined as the ratio of collector current to emitter current or emitter to collector current gain. Collector current IC can also be expressed by using equation as IC is equal to alpha DC into IC plus IB. Okay, we know that already. What is IC? IC is equal to alpha DC IE. So what we will write? IC is equal to, we know that IE is nothing but IC plus IB. So I'll write alpha DC IC plus IB. So when I substitute that here, IC minus, when I get this here alpha DC into IC, then it will become equal to alpha DC into IB. Or if I take common outside, IC as common, 1 minus alpha DC is equal to alpha DC into IB. Or IC can be written as alpha DC divided by 1 minus alpha DC into IB. And now this factor, that is alpha DC divided by 1 minus alpha DC, I will take it as beta DC. I will take it as beta DC. So IC is equal to beta DC times IB, or beta DC is equal to IC by IB. What is IC? IC by IB written as, IC by IB can be written as alpha DC divided by 1 minus alpha DC. That is, if you take this equation, then alpha DC divided by 1 minus alpha DC will be, we will get IC by IB. That is the relation between beta DC and IC, IB, or alpha DC with respect to beta DC. This is a very important derivation where beta DC is defined as the ratio of the collector current to base current or base to collector current gain. Beta DC is also defined as HFE based on H parameter analysis of a transistor. Okay, so you have understood now. Okay, so what is the relationship between the collector current, emitter current with respect to alpha DC, and what is the relationship between the collector current and base current with respect to beta DC? Okay, so the terminal current derived for a PNP device will be applied for PNPN transistor. Only difference is this, almost same, PNP and NPN. Only difference is IB and IC flows into the transistor and IE flows out of the transistor. So when you write the diagram, draw the diagram, the arrow mark is very important. IE is flowing out of the transistor and IB and IC will be flowing into the transistor. This is important in case of NPN transistor. Now, related to this, let us solve few problems. Okay, calculate IC and IE for a transistor that has alpha DC is equal to 0.98 and IB is equal to 100 microampere. Determine the value of beta DC for the transistor. What are given for us? We are given with alpha DC, right? Alpha DC is given, then IB is given. Okay, what we have to calculate? We have to calculate IC and IE. Then we have to calculate beta DC. So we already know the relation of alpha DC. What is that? What is the relation? IC will be equal to alpha DC times IE. Alpha DC times IE. So from that, can we find IE? Because can we find IC is equal to alpha times IE. So from this, we don't know IE, we don't know IC. Now how can we relate alpha DC with beta DC? Yes, we have one more formula. What is that? Beta DC is equal to alpha DC divided by 1 minus alpha D. So let's substitute in that. So IC is equal to beta DC into IB. So IC is equal to alpha DC divided by 1 minus alpha DC into IB. So IC can be written. What is alpha DC? Alpha DC is already given here, 0.98. 0.98 divided by 1 minus 0.98 into, what is IB? IB is also given as 100 microampere. So multiply that, then you will get what is the value of IC. IC value you have got, then you can find IE. How you can find? You know this equation, IC is equal to alpha DC into IE. So IE is equal to IC divided by alpha DC. So substituting IC value which you got here and alpha DC which is already given 0.98, we will get IE is equal to 5 milliampere. Now the ratio of collector current to base current is beta DC is equal to IC divided by IB, or alpha DC divided by 1 minus alpha DC. So substituting that, beta DC will be 49. So from the question, you know what are the parameters given. So you should always remember how you can relate beta DC, IC, IB and IE. Okay, so from that you can find the answer. Okay, so next, one more same kind of problem. Calculate alpha DC and beta DC for the transistor if IC is equal to 1 milliampere and IB is equal to 25 microampere. Determine a new base current to give IC is equal to 5 milliampere. So you have two condition here. One is IC is 1 milliampere and one more is IC is 5 milliampere. So first to find IC equal to 1 milliampere, then you find the new base current IB due to new collector current IC. So collector current is given by IC is equal to beta DC IB. So we can find beta DC directly substituting IC as 1 milliampere and IB as 25 microampere. We will get beta DC is equal to 40. From that we can find what is IE is equal to IC plus IB. Since IC and IB is given, we can directly write IE is equal to addition of IC plus IB. So from that we can find alpha DC. Alpha DC is what? IC by IE. IE also we got the value, IC is already given. So substitute that value and we will get alpha DC. So new base current now we have to find. To find new base current, what we will do? IC is equal to beta DC IB. Beta DC we have already got 40. So now we have to find new base current. New collector current is 5 milli now. So 5 milli divided by 40, we will get 125 microampere. So this is one more kind of problem which can be asked, where you have to find first beta DC, then substitute the new values of IB and IC. So let us see one more kind of problem. A transistor has measured a currents of IC is equal to 3 milliampere and IE is equal to 3.03 milliampere. Calculate the new current levels when the transistor is replaced with the device that has beta DC is equal to 75. Assume that IB remains constant. So first emitter current is given by, we know that emitter is equal to IC plus IB, right? So from that we will get what value? IB, because IE is also given and IC is also given. So new current levels for beta DC is equal to 75, means beta DC value is given. So from that I can find IC with this equation. IC is equal to beta DC IB. IB we have calculated and beta DC they have given 75. So substituting that we will get IC is equal to 2.25 milliampere. What about emitter current? Emitter current is given by IC plus IB. That is now we have to find the new emitter current. So that is 2.25 milliampere. So substitute that 2.25 plus 30 microampere. So it will be 2.28 milliampere. Okay. So this is the one more type of problem that can be asked. Okay. So in all the three cases you have to understand the relationship between emitter current, collector current, base current with respect to alpha DC and beta DC. If you know that very well, then you can score easily in case of transistor current types of problems. Okay, so we have studied about BJT, bipolar junction transistor, two operations, that is NPN and PNP, and its relationship between the currents IE, IB, IC. Emitter current is equal to summation of base current and collector current, and with respect to the relationship alpha DC and beta DC, the derivation is very important. Thank you.